I can't explain what I watched last night.
Where do you start?
At the beginning.
At the beginning.
And the slow starts for the Suns in San Antonio. I start with the fact that they just beat this team by 25 2 days ago, and the only thing that changed in those 2 days was that Victor Wembanyama was ruled out of the second game. That game last night, Wolf, they lose and two players get hurt. They lose to the worst lineup in basketball. I know there's teams with worse records than the Spurs, although not many. But that's when the Spurs have Wembanyama. When they don't have Wembanyama, that's the worst lineup in basketball.
Yes, I would agree with that right now. The Suns gave the Spurs confidence, I think, early in this game. Listen, you know me, Luke. I'm big on starts. How you start a game and how you start a half. I'm big on those two things right there. B.A. was also a guy that was big on that. But it wasn't just Bruce Arians, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that a lot of coaches have believed over the years. How you start. Now, look, you got to finish as well. But how you start is really, really indicative of how prepared you are to go out and do your job.
Yeah.
They were not, to me, I looked at this. The Suns gave the Spurs confidence, I think, early in this game.
I don't know how you aren't prepared for this game last night. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. It was basically like, okay, Wembanyama, if he doesn't play, you just need to show up and play. Just play at an NBA level, and you should win that game. And you're so right, because if you go out there and you jump on the Spurs and you're up on them by 15, let's say at some point in the first half, they're probably at a certain point, not like consciously, but in the back of their minds, like, look, we don't have Wembanyama. We've been doing this all season. When's the season over? Like, enough where you could be able to just put them away and ideally be resting Bradley Beal in the fourth quarter as opposed to having him get hurt.
Yeah, by the way, they beat us by 25 points 2 nights ago. You know what I mean?
In this building.
In this building, right, exactly. You know, you would have sent all the wrong messages, of course, but they didn't. They came out and they gave the Spurs light. And I can't tell you what that will do for a person and a team. It's individually and it's collectively what it does. And that, man, that happened multiple times throughout this season as well. The Suns need a nastier disposition. That's what they need. They got a bunch of guys that are really, really talented, a bunch of guys that are really good players. They need a nastier disposition. I don't know. I've been talking about it all season long. A killer instinct and the lack thereof.
San Antonio's won 16 games this year, and 3 of them are over the Suns.
Whoa.
And only teams...
That's exactly what I'm talking about, though, Luke, right?
And the Suns needed that game last night. I think you know that I'm optimistic enough where I'll try to look at the bright side of things, where I can write off a game in late October that you lose to the Spurs. Okay, you know, this team's probably not very good, but Victor Wembanyama is kind of an unknown. Okay, now you've lost back-to-back games, October 31st and November 2nd to the Spurs at home. That's a little weird, but maybe it's early in the season. Maybe you're not. You know, okay, whatever. It was game 4 and 5 of the season. The Suns needed that game last night. They're back in the play-in because they couldn't beat the worst team in basketball. And yes, I get the Pistons have a worse record, and Washington slightly does too. That's San Antonio without Wembanyama. And if the Spurs don't ever play the Suns, they have the worst record in the NBA.
Yes. You know, look, I've been talking about it all season. At least it feels that way. I've adopted the attitude of prove it, right? I mean, this is something that Mel, have I talked about this? Right? Just a prove-it mentality. I think it was right after the All-Star. No, it was before the All-Star game, as a matter of fact. It was going to be, what are you going to do when you come out? After you've had a chance to actually collectively see what you're going to be and how you're going to play and who you are, and then take a break, breathe, and then come back out and say, this is who we're going to be, man. It's just a prove-it mentality. And any professional athlete that doesn't want to prove it or is offended by hearing some fat guy who's 61 years old, savage though it may be, 61 years old on the air saying, you know what, I want to see you prove it. Why would you be offended by that? Oh, my goodness. That's what you do, right? That's who you are. I will prove it every time you step in between those lines. Every time. You have got to have a prove-it mentality. And right now, this team's too nice. I don't think they've got that prove it mentality.
I'm as collectively as the team, maybe they don't. I don't know. I mean, you watch, like, there's moments in the fourth quarter last night where Booker just takes over. He's just going off and making it. Was like, I don't even know. I lost count of how many points in a row he had scored. It was at least 9 at one point, Suns points.
Yeah.
But every time down the floor, San Antonio just walks up, easy basket. I mean, so it's like,
what is going on?
You've got Booker going off, which is, part of the appeal of this team or part of the upside of this team. But if you just give up the 2 points the other way 5 seconds later, you've completely nullified one of your biggest strengths. And we've seen that too much this season. I mean, I thought the Suns at points in the game last night played better defense than we have seen from them, but they also would just turn the ball over. Like, anytime they did something right last night, it was almost an unforced error to nullify what they had just done. And, they still had a chance to win it at the end. I get that, but it's San Antonio. You should have been up by 10.
Look, the Suns' turnovers are starting to burn the hair off my philtrum. It really is.
I would get that checked out.
What?
I don't know what a philtrum is, but...
Oh, you don't know what a philtrum is?
No.
Oh, a philtrum, it's the crevice between your nose and your upper lip.
I didn't know I had.
It's a philtrum.
Yeah.
Sort
learn something new every day.
Yeah, you might want to shave yours, as a matter of fact, right there, so you can see your philtrum.
No, the Suns have done this to me. I'm not shaving till they beat San Antonio.
They only had 14 turnovers for the game, but it all seemed to happen in the middle of the Spurs 16-0 run in the third quarter.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
I mean, it just 16-0 run by the San Antonio Spurs against this team. Yeah, when the game was on the line, 16-0 run into the fourth quarter, from the third into the fourth, man, that blew my mind. That just it seemed like every turnover happened right there. And I know that was not the case. That's a gross embellishment. But, man, I'm getting tired of watching other teams, inferior teams, beat the Phoenix Suns. 3 times with the Spurs, twice with the Rockets. Just the Hawks.
Yeah. No, I'm
just tired of watching it.
I think that's it right there. I was just trying to figure out what the score was when that 16-0 run started. So the Suns were up by 7 with under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. It was 74-67.
That's when it started.
And then all of a sudden the Spurs became the 96 Bulls and couldn't be stopped. Like, what is going on? Devin Vassal's a good player, but he went to the Bobby Portis Academy last night I can't miss a shot. I'm playing the Suns.
Man, the Suns, they played like the 3 faces of Eve. Google it, my young cracks.
What was the other one I have to Google? Philtrum?
Yeah, right.
Fultrum? I don't know. Philtrum football?
By the way, it's PH.
Oh,
Filtrum.
Good. That'll save me a lot of time. We're going to break. I don't want to talk about the Suns, but we're going to talk about the Suns a lot more.
Luke's got to shave his Filtrum.
No, well, you don't have to because it burned right off watching the Suns last night.
Yes.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.